Good morning, Cincinnati, and welcome into another episode of the Bearcat Brunch, brought to you, as always, by our wonderful partners at Royal Links Golf Tours. Have you always wanted to play golf at St. Andrews? Have you ever enjoyed that perfect pint of Guinness in Ireland? Well, now you can, thanks to Royal Links Golf Tours. They are your premier golf tour specialist, offering unforgettable golf experiences to Scotland, England, Ireland, and Wales. Their custom itineraries are more than golf trips. They are immersive cultural and country experiences that will surprise and delight you both on and off the course. Royal Links Golf Tours is owned by former Bearcat quarterback Hayden Moore and his partner, UC alum Jeff Bartholomew. So if you'd like to play St. Andrews or famed Ballybunion and enjoy that perfect pint, please visit their website at royallinksgolftours.com or call them direct at 770-331-1525. And with that, we are back in the Cincy Light Studios to recap the 7th straight win by the Cincinnati Bearcats, 41-20 over the Baylor Bears, moving them to 5-0 in the conference, keeping them in a tie in first place with the BYU Cougars. As always, joined by my partner Jeff. I won't say dreary Sunday morning, but it doesn't feel like the clouds have quite parted yet. But in Bearcat land, it is sunny. It is bright. We are having a great time. As always, I give you, Jeff, the first word on last night's win.
I mean, this is just starting to become par for the course. Like we're this far into the season. This is who they are. The defense is going to do just enough, and the offense is going to continue to punch the other team right in the mouth immediately out of the gates and put the game into a position where the other team has to play catch up and try to do things they're not comfortable doing.
You're right about that. This team has been good on script and then off script, but it certainly feels like through this Big 12 run, and they're going to get tested obviously more by some much better defenses over the next, especially the next couple of weeks. But this team comes out and, I mean, they go out and they have their plays synced up and they know what they want to do and they go down and score, and it sets a tone and it puts a lot of pressure on the opponents. I mean, we saw it last night. You go down and score, you get the ball right back, you score again, and it's 14-0. And yes, Baylor has a potent, especially passing offense, so it's not like you felt a certain way that this was just going to be some sort of rout because they had done that. But now you're making them, I don't even want to say change what their plan was, because like their plan was not, we'll get into that as we get into the game more, but what they did was not exactly what I expected out of them. But you're putting yourself in such an advantageous situation when you can take control of the game right off the bat, especially at home.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they started with Baylor ran 9 total plays in the first quarter and got 13 yards out of it. They ended up like, this is just kind of an overview of everything. 137 passing yards for a team that was averaging 300 plus. I mean, that yeah. I realized that they tried to like I don't understand. They went away from it. They tried to run the ball. They were trying. Didn't work.
I mean, UC did a great job limiting them in just overall plays, and I thought the offense played a big part in that. You know, this was just I don't want to call it a weird game, but it just did not go like I feel like anyone who follows both of these teams figured it was going to go. UC did a great job with time of possession, with, you know, being efficient. They were, 9 for 14 on third down and 2 for 2 on fourth down. So you're 11 for 16 on those downs. They really possessed the ball. Time of possession was 35 minutes. Neither team, or each team, I should say, had one play over 20 yards. Baylor had the 40-yard Michael Turner run, and UC had a Brendan Sorsby 23-yard touchdown run. That was it. This was not the old Big 12 sling it, each team has 600 yards type of game. So when they ended up running the ball 30-something times compared to Sawyer Robertson only throwing it in the low 20s. And like I said, 137 yards, 5.3 yards per attempt. That's his lowest of the season. His next fewest total yardage throwing game was against Arizona State at 250. So you're 100 plus yards under that. Their longest completion was 16 yards. It felt like right out of the gate, they had I don't want to call it odd or strange because I don't watch every Baylor game, so I don't know. But knowing where UC's deficiencies are on defense, I was kind of expecting it to be 3-1 pass to run, and it was totally flipped on its head. And then when UC goes out to a 14-point lead, and they're still kind of doing that, and even on their touchdown drives, even when they got things going, they were 4 or 5 minute drives, which is, if you're going to let a team like Baylor score, I'm totally fine with that because they weren't going to be able to stop UC at any point, really. So if you wanted to take 5 minutes to score, okay. Like it was an odd game plan from them offensively, and I think UC jumping out to an early lead and them not really changing that was indicative of kind of how this whole game went, even though it did get to 27-20 at one point.
Right. And I mean, I know we were talking about it kind of in our little text groups or whatever, but they did the thing again. And we tried not to name it. But they did the thing, and 11 plays in 2 minutes for Baylor, essentially going into the half. Yeah, we got the ball back, but it was just to kneel it out to get into the half. And you let them kind of just drive down, score that touchdown, whatever. It's 24-6, but then that Baylor's getting the ball coming out of the half.
Right.
And you turn around and they kind of went back to the, if we're going to critique some things here, they did. They went right back to letting them drive down. But again, it was a 4.5 minute drive. And they end up scoring, but then not getting the 2-point conversion. So I guess if you're going to make some trades on some things, giving up that touchdown over 4 minutes, it wasn't like explosive stuff. I mean, there weren't really explosive plays in the game at all anyway.
No.
As far as yards gained on one play. And then you turn around and go 12 plays and drain 5.5 minutes off the clock. Yeah, you end up with a field goal. Whatever. I mean, you're at that point of the game, there had only been only one drive before that, if you don't count the one going into the half, where UC hadn't scored on offense some sort of points.
Mm-hmm.
And then Baylor gets the ball again for the second time, and it runs 7 minutes going into the fourth quarter. And sure, they end up with another touchdown, which made it 27-20. But then UC turns around and takes the ball for almost 8 minutes and scores another touchdown. And that, I mean, now you're looking at a 2-score game. The special teams that we shouted out makes a huge play, lets the offense put the dagger in it. And then the defense on that, I mean, they ended up with 2 sacks on that final drive.
One on the drive. They had the sack on the second, on Baylor's first drive of the game, or second drive of the game. They had the one. What you're saying is spot on, because you get worried that, oh, here we go again, we're up 24-0 and it's going to be 24-14 to start the second half. And yes, they did score 2 touchdowns, but when you really look at it, you're 10 minutes into the second half. They've only had the ball once, and they're only 3 points up.
Right.
Because they score a touchdown, don't get the 2, you go down and kick a field goal. And so you're thinking, okay, for all of that, we're now down to 20 minutes of game time left, and they've only gained 3 points on us from halftime. And I thought they chased those 2-point conversions early. Because if you look at it, if they hadn't done that, if they just kicked extra points, it's 27-21. And you're like, are we really going to do this where they could actually take the lead in a game that, if we don't go down and score, and their offense had scored 3 touchdowns in a row in successive drives, and we're going to go down and not score, and then they're going to go and it's going to be 28-27. It just, I thought they chased points, but I'm still just like, the penalties, the pass interferences, they've just got to play the ball better. They're not going to get the breaks on the 50-50 balls if they just don't bother turning their head around and just keep running into the receiver. Like, some of them I think were questionable, but you're just not going to get those. Other than that, though, Michael Turner has that 70 or the 40-yard run. Their longest run, other than that, was 7 yards. We already mentioned 16 yards was the longest completion. You hold him to 20 points. You hold Sawyer Robertson to 137 yards, low yardage per attempt, and you're good on third down. They had 4.6 yards per play. I thought that they showed more four-man fronts, mainly with like Golday and Dingle up on the line. I thought they brought a lot more than just three-man pressures. I mean, even on some of the balls that Sawyer Robertson completed, he had some time back there, so it was still good coverage. I mean, you got lucky a few times. He overshoots Ashton Hawkins that would have been a touchdown. But at the same time, I mean, Christian Harrison probably should have had an interception.
Yeah.
A couple of the other deep shots, that one and another one, like, weren't good throws. So it all evens itself out. I thought the defense really played well, really limited them, really kept. I mean, they did the bend but don't break thing, but I think they did it way better than they had been doing because they got off the field on third down. Now, granted, this team we're gonna end up probably having, I'd say conservatively, 40 fourth downs run against them this year. If the offense keeps doing what they're doing, and it's going to get tougher with Utah and BYU, but another 6 fourth downs, it just makes it, when you're not a lead on defense and you're playing this type of three-man front, bend but don't break, when the other team is in 4-down mode, it just makes it, I know it's frustrating as heck, but it just makes it so much harder. Because, like, how many times was it 3rd and 7, and they run the ball for 5 or 6, and then it's like it's almost an automatic first down. So you're playing really good first and second down defense, but they're going, well, we have 2 downs, so we'll just run it, and then
do it again.
And then do it. Yeah. So it's very frustrating, but we're forcing teams to do that. And we saw eventually sometimes they won't get it. They had the total miscommunication on the 1 4th down where I don't know what the receivers were doing. They were all blocking, and Sawyer Robertson turns around and throws it into the dirt. But I thought the defense was really good, especially going into the game. It's what we figured was going to be how they were going to have to win. And you get a turnover, you get some stops. Special teams force gets a turnover, which was nice to see after Baylor scored a special teams touchdown against us last year. So,
it's kind of along all the same points there. It's just when you have your offense is able to go out and score touchdown, the defense gets a couple really good stops there in that first quarter and puts you ahead. It does then get frustrating as a fan when you're looking at it inside of a bubble and you keep seeing, they're going to go for it on 4th down again. They're going to go for it. But the other effect that has is if they are continuing to go for it on 4th down, right, it has the positive effect that you can look towards is, yes, they're staying on the field, okay, but now they're dragging out. They're chewing up more clock.
Right. They're trying to come back down 3 touchdowns and having to go to 3rd down, go to 4th down, and just you're exactly right.
And sustain these very long drives, and like for the defense to be out there, and okay, like it ended in a touchdown going into the half. That was 11 plays. That one was pretty quick, 2 minutes. But they buckled down. They stopped a 2-point conversion there. It's no good. They stopped the next 2-point conversion after, sitting out there 5 minutes. And like you said, then we get the field goal. You're only down, 3 points in the second half there. But then you force them into another long drive. And it is, again, like I said, I was talking to some of my other buddies, and like they were all like losing their minds a little bit. And I said the Bearcats have only had the ball one time in the second half so far, and they scored. I mean, yeah, it was a field goal. They still scored, and I realized like it does look like Baylor's coming back, but like I have every bit of confidence that the Bearcats offense is going to do their job each time they get the ball.
Right.
And once you're up, like if you can just keep doing what they're doing, and you're going to be all right, because trying to chase all the points when you're not doing it quickly, as long as the defense is slowing them down and doing enough, and then like you said, like then you get a play from the special teams, and suddenly now it's a 21-point game, and there's almost no time left.
Right. If you told me going into the game, this is how Baylor's going to score their touchdowns, I would have said there's no chance they win. And the post-game win probability bear that out. I think it was Bill Conley had it at 99.6 or 99.8%. We usually use game on paper a lot, but it seems there's at least one issue with one stat line. So I'm not sure if all the stat lines are messed up, because it has both teams with 0.0 yards per drop back. So, and I know they actually completed passes. So I know that's not accurate. So I then don't know how accurate all the other stats are. But I mean, you're talking about at one point, I think the lowest, I'm looking at Yahoo, the lowest win probability at any point in the game was when it was 27-20 and it was 90.6%. So even when they cut it to a touchdown, UC was still a 90% win probability. So, defensively, Trey Collard, 11 total tackles, and then your next three leading tacklers were Dingle, Thompson, Golday with 19 combined. You got some more pressure. Micah Coleman got in there. Marquise Parker was in there. Like, guys, there was definitely an emphasis on not letting Sawyer Robertson just stand back there, because he's not a runner. He ran more in that game than he had run all season. I mean, if you listen to their fans talk about him, they have bemoaned the fact that on some of these RPOs, some of these read plays, he will not keep the ball. And he did on one fourth down where their running back got absolutely crushed in the chest, where if he hadn't kept the ball, they would have been another fourth down that they didn't convert. So, and the way UC played it was perfect, because up until this point, he had not shown any willingness to run the football. So, defense I thought they were the best version of the bend but don't break, especially against a team that the worry going in was that the offense was going to need to be perfect, because this type of a passing game was going to just drop back 50 times and score touchdowns in 2.5, 3 minutes. And then if we weren't perfect, you're giving the ball right back to them. And it kind of was not the opposite, because the UC offense was very methodical as well. But I just did not expect the Baylor offense to take that kind of plan in this game, with the emphasis on running and not being able to get anything going over the middle. I mean, there were really very few broken tackles. I mean, the run was I thought the worst play by the defense all day. The one run play where they couldn't get the guy down for about 20 yards.
Yeah,
but it was also a great play call by Baylor, because it was a clear passing down, and they just out leveraged UC. And when he got that corner, there was nobody there. You just got to be able to get him down quicker than that when he's not, he has no business breaking those tackles and dragging guys for 10 yards. So,
I mean, it's Sorsby again. Like I kind of want to go back to the fact, like you look at his stat line, it doesn't look like it. I mean, as far as like passing, obviously only 111 yards, like, but he a couple times had short field. He just did what he needed to do. Like, it's very impressive to see this kind of flesh out the way that we had kind of hoped it would when we saw the flashes of it last year. And I know we keep talking about it. I mean, he got a shout out from probably
Nick, the greatest living or dead football coach of all time.
Right.
Brendan Sorley.
Brennan Sorley from the Cincinnati
I
Bearcats.
don't give a crap what he calls
You,
them. They had a 2-minute segment on UC offense with Nick Saban
yes,
talking about it on a program that doesn't seem to realize that the Big 12 even exists anymore.
right.
So that's fine by me. But yeah, we can flip this over to the offense. And I don't know what the stats are. I think he now leads the nation in touchdowns responsible for, because he had 3.
3.
Ty Simpson, I know, didn't have 3 because Bama had 20-something points, or at least I don't think he did, because they had a defensive touchdown in that game. I don't know if he was tied. I can't imagine he might have been tied with Sawyer Robertson. I don't know. He had 3 touchdowns also, but we'll get into that later as I am able to dig into the numbers more. But the plan from UC was clearly to run the ball, and I don't think it was the wrong plan. I do think at times they stayed on that a bit too much, because I don't think Baylor's pass defense is great. They weren't, again, no sacks. They did get a little bit of pressure at times, but maybe they leaned on the run a little bit too much and could have, used that to offset with some more passing. But I mean, 200 something yards, and the yards per carry is a little bit of an illusion, because at the very end of the game, you have the very short field, and then you have the very, very end of the game where you're not even trying. So some of those carries are inconsequential, just like that. They're gonna get dinged for the no points in the red zone when the drive started at the 19. I think they were 34 of 34.
They were, yeah.
So we'll file a complaint or an amendment to the NCAA saying that shouldn't count because we weren't trying to score. But
Can you imagine if Satterfield had just been like ran Rusnick out there just to kick it to keep it?
Just to kick it to keep the perfect red zone. I mean, that wouldn't be beyond myself. Well, everyone knows that. But no, he managed. I mean, in a game that they didn't need him to be that type of player, and he managed the game perfectly. He got the ball where it needed to go. He was very elusive in his running. I don't think we had seen him run like that or be a part of the run game like that in a couple of weeks. I mean, UC is having a very fun year putting guys on posters and making them Twitter highlights with Tyree Walker running Buddy over again, and then Brandon Sorsby just having that one guy eat grass on the 24-yard touchdown run.
And Walker did it twice. The other one, well, I mean, I guess he didn't really put it, but he folded that one guy in half.
Oh, that guy, on his touchdown run, he went to his knees. He went to his knees and was praying real fast.
He just forearm into him, and the guy, I tweeted about it, like he made his body bend in an unnatural way, and just low effort. It looked low effort on Tawi's part. Obviously, wasn't low effort, but it just looked like he didn't even realize move out of my way, please. And then the guy on the sideline that he crushed, and then like you said, Sorsby breaking the dude's ankles. My 12-year-old almost went through the ceiling whenever they showed the replay back, and it was as bad as it was.
Yeah, and it just highlights the efficiency of this offense. They ran the ball well, but like we talked about earlier, they don't have a play over 16 yards outside of his touchdown run. So you score 41 points. Now, granted, you got a couple short fields to do it, but that's part of the game. You still have to convert, and you want your defense giving you those things. Like we talked about last week, and I talked about with Chad on Wednesday, is my concern was that while it's great that you had 4 drives against Oklahoma State that ended in touchdowns that were all 75 yards or more, and 2 were 90 yards or more, that's not realistic. That's not a way to beat a Utah, beat a BYU. So we need to start seeing some short fields. We need to start seeing some drives that aren't the entire field. And so the yardage numbers aren't there, but it was still a very efficient game from the offense. They were at, 6-something yards per play, which is hilariously over 1.5 yards lower than what their average is. That just shows you how efficient and how good it's been before
going
yesterday.
into this.
But again, I don't have a ton to pick on. You could say that they maybe leaned into the run too much, but that's also a bit of a hard argument when they ran for 260, 255, something like that.
265.
And you can't look at the yards per carry number because 5 of the carries or more, 7 of the carries were throwaway carries that did not affect the outcome at all.
Right. I mean,
plus a kneel down. So I mean, you have that at the end of the first half. That's going to count as a carry.
Yeah, the team was credited with 2 carries for -3 yards, and then I don't know why it's a team carry there instead of maybe that's what they're.
No, that's probably because you're not trying to actually run the ball, so
they just give it to the team instead of taking somebody's stats away, but
maybe such. But yeah, I'm the biggest thing I think from the offensive standpoint is the health of Evan Pryor and how his ankle is. They did, Don his ability with Tyree, with Brendan is consequential to this team and how they want to run the ball. When the defense, I love Tyree Walker, but the defense is able to play a little bit different style when he's in versus when Pryor is in. And, hopefully he's okay. Hopefully he can go next week. Definitely going to need him. You're going into a game where the two teams combined for 465 rushing yards yesterday. The Utah game was over quickly and on late, so I'm sure not very many people saw it, but they ran for 400 yards against Colorado.
I think in the first 3 drives of that game, because I don't know if what the status of their normal starting quarterback is.
Yeah.
But that the kid they had in there, true freshman Bird Ficklin,
second play of the game, 63-yard touchdown run.
But how much of that is just the fact Colorado's just not? I mean, they're not good. And
no,
I know that's a Big 12.
I'm just saying,
that's a Big 12 discussion that Aaron and Chad will have. But
watch out for some rushing yards next week. But yeah, I mean, Evan's super important. I think the other injuries of note, Dante's ankle is going to be an issue all season. It just is. It's a matter of pain tolerance. It's a matter of how much he can gut out. And then Simeon Coleman looked like concussion-ish things. I mean, I think they took his helmet away from him. He didn't come back in. So that one will just be one to
keep an eye on
for the week and see what the injury reports say. But I mean, this team is still, even with that, compared to most teams we're seeing, they're still very, very healthy. Hopefully that continues. But, offensively, I don't really have a ton. I just keep coming back to this game was not what we thought it was going to be.
Yeah, and again though, we'll give it credit again that UC has been able to play different types of games. They're not they're not pigeonholed into if this doesn't work,
right,
if this isn't how it's gonna go, then we're totally screwed, right? If they've got to throw the ball, obviously we know that the offense has multiple different ways that they can handle the ball and score. The defense is gonna we'll just keep saying it. The defense is gonna do what the defense is gonna do. They've held all but 2 teams, I think, to 20 points or less. And when you have an offense that has been as efficient as this one, that's getting the job done. That's going to be enough. You don't need to be everybody would like to have an elite defense, an elite offense, and an elite special teams unit. But that's not going to happen everywhere. So you've got an elite offense, you've got a defense that does enough, and then you've got special teams that's been really, really good as well. All the way down to that was a the gut punch game ceiling. You're kind of it's only going to be 2, and then you kick the ball off and force a fumble, recover the fumble, and then immediately score again.
Yeah, you're in the situation where, yeah, you're at 14, but you're kind of expecting them to go down and score a touchdown, and there's still enough time left, and you have to then still play competent, aggressive offense. And if it doesn't work out, then you're giving a team that can score in a minute plenty, probably
Right.
plenty of time to go do that. And so, yes, absolutely. I do want to shout out the play and Sorsby's play on his final touchdown.
Oh,
It might be one of my favorite plays of the year because you have two tight ends into the left. Everything you're doing is saying we're going to run the ball because we're winning. We're down by the goal line. I don't remember if it was third and short or what the exact down distance was, but everything about the game is this is a run to the left behind the power. And he bootlegs it out, is getting some pressure. They drag. Was it Isaiah Johnson or Noah Jennings? I'm blanking right now.
I don't remember which one was there, but I know Tolly Walker was right out in front of him.
They drag the receiver all the way across the formation, which tells you how much time they had to do that. Isaiah Johnson. So drag the receiver all the way across the formation through the end zone, and then Sorsby throws this sidewinding baseball-ish that I feel like went either between the guy's arms.
I don't know how it made it. I don't know how it got from him, like just to the front of the end zone, let alone all the way back into our receiver's hands.
But like that's when I feel that's the type of play I feel like when you're a play caller, we're in the bag, as so many people like to say. I'm in my bag. Like, there's no reason to call that play. You could just run it. You probably would have gotten the first down or scored. But to run that play there and have it go that, I thought it was awesome.
It was great. And like I also pointed out, like Walker was out in front of him and had like kind of turned like he was going to get that, that little, just kind of like the little kick out to the running back coming out of the backfield, who then tries to beat everybody to the pylon. And he turned, and when he realized like he's not going to flip it to me, he laid a pretty good block that kind of like, I don't know who was coming from that outside there, but he laid a pretty good block. And then like you said, like there was some kind of magical force somewhere in that sidearm throw that got the ball into the end zone, because it had no business getting past. Like it felt like that defender was almost on top of him. Like I don't know how he did it. It was fantastic. I think he said afterwards his baseball coach sent him a text message.
Yeah,
I saw that. Keegan had tweeted that out. That like he had contact with his baseball coach after the game there to point out the fact that that's like the classic middle infield flip of the ball for a double play kind of arm slot.
So this is not like breaking news, but I will share it because we have an update on the Bill Conley ESPN SP Plus. The Bearcats move up 2 spots again to 23rd. They now have the 20th rated offense, the 38th rated defense, and the 16th rated special teams. Big test next week. Utah up to 7. 25 offense, 7 defense, 24 special teams. 44 special teams. So just 2 teams that I think everyone buried Utah after they got worked by Texas Tech, and obviously they lost to BYU, but they're still, I think, really good, and it's probably going to be the hardest game to date, especially if that thing ends up being a 8:30 local time night game
out there.
Yeah, that's going to be going to be tough, but I mean the Bearcats are playing very well, so there'll be enough time to talk about that next week. Do you have anything else specific to the Baylor game that we did not touch on?
No, just like as frustrating as it might seem like in the moment in some of these like things like with the defense or whatever, like if you kind of take that second to step back and look at everything on the whole, like that was a game. It was nice to see them play a different style, a kind of different type of game, and still comfortably win there at the end.
Yeah, it's we see it. I mean, we've certainly beaten the horse to death, and it's an every week thing that we see crazy results. We see crazy games that shouldn't be close that are close, and this team just keeps making plays that in a year that there's a lot of teams doing stuff that they have not done typically in their history. That you're playing winning football and you hit the over on your team win total before Halloween. You're in first place in the conference. You're doing. I mean, there's not much I feel like a sane, sound-minded person can really complain about with this program, this team, especially the on-field product of this team right now.
Yeah, if you're gonna by all means, we never tell people how to fan, and if you want to be nitpicky at this point, it's probably also a testament to actually how well things are going. That if you
I am going to be nitpicky about one thing, and it doesn't have anything to do with.
Dave, is this back to not allowing poppers into the?
No, that's a full time. That is not nitpicking. That is just not sound marketing. Sound. I mean, we had it going great when I was allowed to bring the confetti cannons in, and then the last 2 years up until now hadn't been great. So you can connect those dots if you want to, but I will say, I thought the uniforms looked fantastic.
Oh, amazing! I'm really coming around on the Cincy on the helmet.
I'm also going to say that our colors are red and black, and I'm getting a little perturbed at the lack of black.
Well, we've
worn white helmets and red helmets more than we've worn black helmets, and I believe we've only worn black jerseys once or twice in 8 games. So maybe we're saving it for the end of the year. Fine, whatever. Again, I'm not a big uniform person. I don't really care. I think all the combinations have great elements to them, but more black, please.
Well, they'll probably file that right alongside your request to bring confetti cannons.
Exactly. Yes, I'm sure that will be heard by the most important people that make those types of decisions. But that's really it for the Bearcats' 7th win in a row, moving them to 7-1, 5-0 in the Big 12, and a tie for first place in the conference with BYU, who they will see in a few weeks.
Can confirm 2 black jerseys this season, game 3 and game 5. That's it.
25% is just not enough.
2 black pants.
That's not going to get it done.
2 black pants on different occasions for all of those games. Those came in game 4 and in game 6, and 2 black helmets came in game 4 and game 6 as well.
Hey, when you're winning and you're 7-1, you start complaining about the number of times the team has worn black jerseys. That tells you where you are as a fan.
Yeah, that's okay.
And it is okay. It is very okay, because I'd rather come on here and talk about wins for 7 weeks in a row and complain about jersey combinations than anything else. Than the alternative. So, what game do you want to start with in the world of college football? Because I have where I want to start in the world.
I'm just going to say, I know UCLA was real bad, and then they won a lot, and Indiana is, as much as it pains, that's a really good football team.
They're really good, and UCLA is still really bad. And I thought that they were going to get absolutely dump trucked yesterday, and they did.
And that's exactly what happened.
Yes.
I think Nate Bargatze was on game day, and he's really funny, and he was talking about the Big Ten. I don't know what he likened it to, milk versus Pepsi. I don't know what he was talking about, but he called in talking about the Big Ten, and because he was making fun of him. He's an SEC guy, and referred to Indiana as like milk or something.
Yeah,
they're going to spoil at some point. I don't know, but
I don't think so. I think they've shown they're pretty good.
Yeah, that's a good squad over there. I do want to talk about Texas A&M and LSU.
That's where I was going to go.
Okay, go ahead and start it off then. Have at it. Because mine is just poking fun at somebody. So,
I mean, the game is 18-14 LSU at halftime.
Yeah.
It ends up 49-25.
It went downhill very fast.
And the second half to me was Texas A&M touchdown, find Brian Kelly yelling at someone on the sideline. Texas A&M touchdown, find Brian Kelly yelling at someone on the sideline. He has a massive buyout, and they do not play next week. So I do not think he's like going to get fired. I mean, it would be a stunner if he got fired, but they play Alabama the week after. And you have a team that started the year beating what everybody thought was a good team in Clemson, which has turned out to not be a good team. But it's very hard for me to see how this goes forward. Like, he does not ingratiate himself to people very well, even when he's winning. And now that they're losing, and losing in the fashion that they are, and there's just some inner working things going on there that most people that don't really dig into college football know. Their strength coach, Tommy Moffitt, legendary strength coach at LSU. BK fired him right when he started, and that pissed off a ton of people. Guess where that guy coaches strength now?
Texas A&M?
Last 2 years, Texas A&M has bodied and physically dominated LSU, and that is not lost on the locals. So you have even these little things that most people listening to this would have no idea about, that it feels like this is going to just end in some sort of breakup, because I
mean, at this point,
I don't see him beating Alabama. I don't know if they can beat Arkansas, and then they still play Oklahoma.
Well, I mean, it really turned on its head there in the third quarter when, I mean, like you said, LSU's up, I think they're up 4 points going into the half, 18-14 going into the half. A&M comes out, scores a touchdown, 21-18. Obviously, then LSU gets the ball back, goes 3 and out, punts the ball. It was a booming punt. I mean, this kid hammered the ball. The return guy was backpedaling as he received the ball, and there were LSU players all around him, and he ran it back like 79 yards, I think, for a touchdown.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then Brian Kelly looked
and
over, and then
they turned.
This is what gets you fired.
They focus on him, and like I said, literally, you kind of brought it up there. What I said last night, he looked like a booster that they just like let down on the sidelines every time, because like he had thrown his headset off and was just walking around, looked dumbfounded, like he didn't know where he was at, what was going on. Like he was, his face was just downtrodden. Like he wasn't screaming, he was just like walking around. I mean, it turned on its head very quickly. The announcers were talking about them not going for it. I guess it was like fourth down. Like, oh, they're only down, like, I think at that point like 3 points or 7 points, whatever it was. And like, then the kid runs it back. Then they go 3 and out again. Like nothing is going well. Garrett Nussmeier's missing passes. Dudes, I mean, it was horrendous. Everything that could have gone wrong for LSU went wrong in that third quarter, and they obviously did not recover from it. And then A&M just kept putting it on, and so they ended up winning by 24 points.
Brian Kelly, Beach or Lake guy? Beach, I think. I would guess. Usually it's offensive coaches are Beach, defensive coaches are Lake. So You know, I'll go beach guy. He might be spending a lot of time at the beach or the lake here in a few months.
Yeah.
We'll stick in the SEC. Ole Miss, Oklahoma. I expected a much lower scoring game, and Ole Miss kind of did whatever they wanted. And they have a very, for SEC standards, I won't say easy, because I mean every week is not easy in any league we're seeing, but very manageable schedule. Like they might have the most playoff, like punch your ticket right now situation.
Yeah, they've got South Carolina, then the 3/4 of the way through Cream Puff SEC scheduling.
SoCon Saturday, yeah, SoCon Saturday when the SEC plays all the Southern SoCon teams.
And then Florida, and then Mississippi State.
Yeah, so Lane's getting it done. Potential distractions and all. Oklahoma's in a tough spot on the opposite side. That they've now lost 2. You know, when we're talking playoffs, lost 2, and they still have. They still got to play Alabama, Missouri, and LSU. Now, I don't know what LSU is. I don't know what Missouri will be with Bo Prevula hurt. So that if they beat Alabama, I think they're very much safe. But then you're getting into you lose to Alabama, and you're now in the 9-3 category. I feel like some 9-3 team is going to get into the playoffs, so maybe it's them. But that's a huge game for them. Auburn, Arkansas. Auburn was getting destroyed, makes a quarterback change, comes back, wins that game. Evan McPherson's little brother, Alex McPherson, 6 for 6 on field goals. Pretty impressive stuff. If you know anything about him, he's had some pretty serious health issues, then has been able to come back and play, so that's good for him. Vanderbilt, Missouri. That one I didn't see any of it, but I did not expect 17-10. Thought there'd be way more points than that. But Vandy just keeps getting it done. They're good. They're real. They're winning, kind of like we talked about with UC. They're winning games in different fashions. You know, their loss is Alabama, and not saying they should have won, but they had 2 red zone turnovers in that game. And other than that, they are. I mean, none of my friends want to talk about it, but they're better than Tennessee. So that game's still coming.
And then you got Wisconsin scored their first touchdown in 3 weeks, 4 weeks, something like that. I think I looked it up going into this game. I think they were outscored something like 160 to nothing or 160 to 5. I mean, it was ridiculous.
I saw a tweet where their fans were the few fans that were there, and it was an awful game. Rain the whole game, just gross game. Giving a bunch of high fives. They had scored their first touchdown in, I think it was 3 hours, 45 minutes
of game time.
1 seconds of game time. I also have to just point out the respect that I have for Dan Lanning. Onside kicking on the opening kickoff of that game. That is amazing. If I was a coach, I feel like I would be Dan Lanning. Zero, what's given at all moments.
I didn't know he did that, but that is awesome.
Yes, they onside kicked and got it on the opening kickoff of the game.
I mean, obviously they didn't do anything.
No, they only scored 21 points.
I mean, that's. I guess if you're going to have your down game or a game where you're not really going to be firing on all cylinders, you want it to be against an opponent like that.
Yeah, have it in the rain against a team that literally can't score. Cannot score. Their over-under team total for the first half was 2.5. And I don't think anybody who bet that was sweating at any point that they were going to get a field goal.
Which is just, I mean, that's also pure disrespect from the books.
Yeah, we don't even think you can kick a field goal.
God, no good.
Bama has a wild one against South Carolina that shouldn't have been as close as it was. They're up 14-6 at halftime, and then it's 14-12, it's 15-14, it's 22-14 with 2 minutes to go. Bama finally scores, doesn't get the 2-point conversion. South Carolina's going down or punts it Bama muffs the punt. Like South Carolina is in position to win the game. Coughs it back up, and Bama scores on a 25-yard touchdown with 30 seconds left to win. I mean, that's clean living right there.
Oh yeah, Oregon also threw a touchdown pass to an offensive lineman in that game,
and he danced.
And then he danced. And Dan Lanning afterwards was like, "I've seen that dance like a million times in practice. I've asked him not to do it." Like,
speaking of dancing, it's funny you bring up dancing. There was a moment in the UC game yesterday. I won't call anybody out by name. I'll just say the younger second team offensive line group. I don't remember what song was playing, but there was one gentleman who was doing a very funny hip gyration type dance, and his fellow offensive linemen were doing some very funny dances around him. And I hope maybe one of them will find out that we were talking about them. But it definitely brought a smile to my face, and I was laughing pretty hard at the dancing that these large men were doing with the Bearcats comfortably in the lead.
That's God. North Carolina almost got one.
Yeah, but Virginia just has some sort of, like, I don't know if they are into voodoo, if they've foregone 100 more years of football success to be good in 2025. But I mean, they basically won a game on a walk-off safety last week. I think they got the safety against Washington State with 20-something seconds left. I mean, essentially a walk-off safety. And now this week they win by one against the North Carolina team that's not good, that they had no business beating by one. But yeah, Virginia, Louisville, Virginia, Georgia Tech, Louisville, Georgia Tech, some combination of those three are in the driver's seat for the ACC championship game.
The Miami Hurricanes are in 7th place in the standings in the ACC right now.
Yeah, and 9th in the country.
Yeah.
Speaking of uniforms, did anybody see their terrible camo uniforms?
Whose?
Miami wore camo jerseys with like camo green pants, and you couldn't see them. They
scored 42 points on Stanford.
Because Stanford couldn't see them.
That's not fair. That's what I know. This is way off the rails, but they were. There was I think a podcast like Ben Roethlisberger was making the point on one of the picks that the Bengals were wearing all white and the safety blending
into the field and the background.
The field's green, Ben.
Okay. I feel like USF Memphis, big game in the G5 race for the playoff spot. Memphis, who had taken an inexplicable loss last week to UAB, comes back in a game that full kudos to Brandon Lewis, their quarterback. He was knocked out of the UAB game and gutted out a really good performance yesterday to take down USF and put them right back in the mix with. I mean, that's going to be – I know we bag on the American, and we used to, and for a lot of right reasons, but that is going to be one hell of a race coming down the stretch because USF, Memphis, Navy, Tulane, North Texas, like all these teams are still going to be in the mix, and it's going to be a lot of fun to see who comes out on top there.
That kid was 27 of 44 for 307 yards and 2 touchdowns yesterday.
On basically one leg.
Which is very impressive. On 2 legs, that would be impressive.
Yeah. I'm going to talk about it real quick because I know Chad and Aaron will have more, but Chad and I talked about it on Wednesday. Houston is a problem. They go to Arizona State and pretty much dominate that game. They win by 8, but it was not that close. I didn't know Jordan Tyson for Arizona State was that important. Sam Leavitt also got hurt and was held out. They play Texas Tech, I think, in 2 weeks. I think they have a bye next week. But, I mean, Houston rolled them. Very impressive. Chad and I talked about it. It's West Virginia, UCF, TCU, Baylor. they very well can go 11-1. And
That's their remaining schedule?
yes, their only loss is to Texas Tech. So they obviously wouldn't win the tiebreaker over them if they didn't lose a game out. But if UC loses, if BYU loses, if there's going to be some tiebreakers potentially if these teams lose. But yeah, no one is I've been kind of not secretly tracking them, but at least paying a little bit of attention because I just kept being like, they only have one league loss and their schedule is not looking very tough, and no one is talking about them as a potential team to make the playoff, or not to make the playoff, to make the Big 12 championship game.
I hadn't even really thought about them, to be honest, until I saw a clip of I don't know if it was like a YouTube short or something of I think there's a podcast that's it's a Big 12 Arizona State podcast, and they were just kind of doing a Big 12 power rankings, and I was just lightly whatever, but they were actually they were pretty high on Houston, and kind of worried about the game.
Well,
and
they had
correct worries.
They had reason to be. I'll go Texas, Mississippi State. Mississippi State, I mean, how you blow that game. Jeff Lebby has not won a SEC game since he's been at Mississippi State. Texas backup quarterback comes in. Insane. I don't know if you saw it. Insane touchdown catch in overtime.
Yeah, I was so I didn't really watch the game. I was just kind of following along that they were losing and whatnot. And then I saw the highlights afterwards and realized that it was not, in fact, Arch Manning throwing no. I assume he got hurt.
He was in, I believe he's in concussion protocol. He played pretty much the whole game.
And then
it's very odd though, sitting from the side, in this guy that's come in for Texas in 2 occasions that I've seen him. Arch gets hurt against Florida. He comes in and Arch is struggling to let it rip and throw the ball down the field when they're trying to come back and tie the game. He comes in for one play and absolutely rips like a 25-yard dagger route. And then he comes in this game and throws. I mean, it was much more of a better catch than a throw. I mean, 99% of the time that thing's overthrown. The guy drops it. He doesn't get his foot in as he's catching the ball. So much more credit to the receiver than the quarterback. But still, you come in overtime and make that play. It is interesting that this guy is coming in these type of crunch time, high leverage situations and made the plays that he has.
One for one, 10 yards, one touchdown. And then Arch Manning was 29 of 46 for 346, 3 touchdowns and an interception.
Yeah, he was fine. It
is funny that you
too. But
it is nice to have a kid that you can put in there that's just gonna ice in his veins or whatever, not make because obviously that ball was put only where the receiver could catch it. Yeah,
Mississippi State goes up 31-14 with 20 seconds to go in the third quarter and loses that game.
The best is the I think Barstool put out a
their guy that was literally right there.
They put out a little highlight reel of him running. He was running up and down the sidelines cheering and acting all crazy and stuff. And then it just cuts to Portnoy with the score underneath him after the game, and he's like, "They were up by 20 points 2 minutes ago. What happened?"
Yeah, that was a rough one.
The best part is the touchdown was caught right in front of Brandon Walker. Right in front of him.
He said, "I went down there because that's where we were going to win the game at." And, and then it didn't happen. He's like, "I wanted to be a part of the celebration." And instead, he's literally the ball is being caught and he's in the expanded picture in the background. Fantastic. Illinois got throttled.
Yeah, I don't have a ton. I mean, Iowa is just a wood chipper running the ball now. They don't even try to throw it.
I saw a stat. They just went 16 consecutive seasons with a pick 6 or something.
That's cool.
They
didn't. Yeah, their defense won in that game. They didn't. That's not 41 points, and they have 200 yards of total offense. But I don't have much else. Well, I did see that we had Jawan Briggs had a sack for the Jets. Hopefully, he doesn't get any sacks today. Plays good, no sacks.
Yep.
On
Sauce isn't playing. So
I saw Eric Wilson had a sack last week. I saw Trey Tucker had a long catch and run. I saw Alec Pierce had a long catch. No Sauce Gardner today against the Jets. Should be interesting to see. Does Jamar Chase get more than 23 targets? Could happen.
I won't mind it. I'll be down there. So
there you go.
yeah, we've got a taking the oldest down there. We're gonna be in a little bit better seats than we were at the couple years ago. I won tickets from like a Twitter contest on Bud Light, and we were in the very top row of the stadium. He thought it was the greatest thing ever.
Thank you, Bud Light.
Yeah, my old eyes were struggling from the top of the stadium. Today
you need some oxygen to get up there.
Right, we're much lower today, and so I'll be able to see the field and hopefully enjoy a Bengals victory.
They are they're in a weird spot right now. They were terrible, and then in 3 weeks there's a chance they could be playing the Steelers for first place in the division. So
yeah,
who the heck knows? But that'll wrap it up. Thank you again to everyone that joins us. Like, subscribe, tell your friends, tell your family. We want all the Bearcat fans in here. Thank you to Aaron. Thank you to Jeff. Thank you, Cincy Light. Thank you, Royal Links Golf Tours. And thank you, Bearcat Nation. We will see you again next week. Have a great Sunday, everybody.